Hello everyone, in this video we'll explore the fundamental concept of conditional statements in Python. Let's begin by understanding what conditional statements are and how they help control the flow of our program. In programming, conditional statements are used to check if a condition is true or false and execute different code blocks accordingly. In Python, conditional statements are called if statements, which is the term we'll be using from now on. If statements are often associated with the term control flow. So if you ever hear that term, just remember that if statements control the flow of your program. In this video, we'll cover the syntax and structure of if statements to understand how they're written in Python. An if statement consists of the keyword if, followed by a condition, and then a colon. After the colon is indented code, known as the if block, and that is executed if the condition is true. In this video, we'll also explore the use of comparison operators, such as equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. In if statements, these can be used to check the status of different values. So for example, you can have two strings and they could be, is this one equal to this one, or is it not equal to this one? Let's start with a basic example of an if statement. So we'll set age equal to 18, and under this we can write the if statement. Type if, all lowercase, and then a space. Here we can type the condition. Within this if statement, we want to check if the age is greater than or equal to 18. We type age because we're saying if age is greater than or equal to. So if age greater than sign, equal to sign. If it's greater than or equal to 18, and then we put a colon. Now we hit enter. Depending on your code editor, you might notice it indent. If it's not indented, just hit tab. Everything inside the if statement is indented. So if we didn't indent it, it wouldn't count the code as part of the if statement. This is because Python is very white space oriented. So here we can print, you are eligible to vote. So in this code, we set age equal to 18. The if statement is checking to see if the age is 18 or older with the greater than or equal to sign. If they meet the requirement, we print you are eligible to vote. If they're not, no code executes because there's nothing below this if statement. So if we run this, it says you are eligible to vote because age is 18. Now, we could put something below this if statement. This would be run no matter what. Whether age is 18 or not, this would still be run because this isn't part of the if statement. So if I ran this, it would say you are eligible to vote and hi. But if we changed age to 3, it'll just say hi. Because no matter what, this is still executed, but this is only executed if this is true. So what's going on under the hood here? When you type a condition, in our case it's the greater than or equal to 18, Python either evaluates it as true or false. Right now, since age is 3, Python evaluates this as false and doesn't execute this code. When we change this to 18, now Python evaluates this expression as true. When age meets the requirements, since it's true, it prints this. Otherwise, it's false and it doesn't print anything. So in simpler terms, if it evaluates to true, the code will run, and if it evaluates to false, it will not. Now it's time to learn about the else statement, which allows us to specify an alternate block of code to execute when the condition in the if statement is false. The else block is executed only if the if condition evaluates to false. Let's see an example. We can set age equal to 16, and we can have an if statement that checks if age is 18 or older. We used this exact same expression in our previous example. Now we can type else, and if you type any expression in else, you'll get an error because else is only for every other possible scenario. So you can't put an expression in else. Else is just everything else that could happen. So if it's not greater than or equal to 18, this will happen. So we can say you are not old enough to vote. First, the code checks to see if age is 18 or older. If it evaluates to false, then we don't run this. And now that there's an else here, when it evaluates to false, it prints you're not old enough to vote. So if we run this, it'll say you're not old enough to vote. If we change this to 34, it would say you're eligible to vote. And even if we said 5,000 here, it would still say you're eligible to vote. As long as it's greater than or equal to 18, this evaluates to true. Now we'll introduce the elif statement, which allows us to specify multiple conditions to check in a sequence. The elif block is executed if the preceding if statement is false, and this elif's condition is true. Let's see an example of an if-elif-else statement. We can set age equal to 21, and now we can say if age is less than 18, then we can print you are not old enough to vote. And now we can say elif age. Make sure you unindent this, because if you click enter, it's going to stay indented. Just undo that. And then do elif age is greater than or equal to 18, and age is less than 21. Print. So when they're greater than 18 but they're less than 21, they are old enough to vote, but they can't drink. So this is just based on the voting law and the drinking law. So here we go with you can vote, and then you cannot drink. Now else would be both of these. So if we copied this and just edited this here, you can just remove this, you can drink. So here it says if age is less than 18, you're not old enough to vote or drink. If it is greater than or equal to 18, and you learn about the and operator later in this video, but this is just making sure both of these are true, and age is less than 21, then they can vote but they can't drink because it's less than 21, but also older than 18. And then else, which is everything else besides this. So we've covered everything all the way up to 20. So now, if it's 21 or older, you could have done elif age is greater than or equal to 21, but a lot of times it's better to just do else in our programs. So now it's safe to assume that their age is greater than 21 because we've covered everything else. So now, since age is 21, we're going to get the else statement printed out. Here we go. You might also notice that instead of saying age is greater than or equal to 18, we could just say age is greater than 17. In this case, both of these do exactly the same thing. When you run into things like this, it's just a matter of preference in code readability. For me, it's easier to just read greater than or equal to 18, because then, oh, where'd 17 come from? I thought the law was 18. Even though it is greater than 17, that still works, or greater than or equal to 18. Here's another example. We can set message equal to hello world. And now we can check if message, and then we can use the equal sign, and then say hi, for example. We can just do code here for a second, but first I want to tell you, make sure that when you're doing an if statement, the double equal sign is used, because that's different from assigning a variable. When you're creating a variable, you set equals with 1. But if you're checking if a variable equals something, or something equals something, right, you use 2, because otherwise it'll think you're trying to define a variable here, and it'll give you an error. So if message is hi, then we can print you said hi. And now we can say elif message equals hello world. Make sure you put the colons after these, by the way. Then we can say print you said hello world. So this checks if the message is equal to the string hi. And right now it's not, because it's hello world. And this elif statement checks if it's equal to hello world, which it is. So now we can add another elif, because you can add as many elifs as you want. So we can do elif message equals what's up, then print you said what's up. As you can see, the two equal signs checks if a value is equal to another value. This works with all data types, including strings, integers, floats, etc. This is unlike the greater than, equal to, and all those signs. You can't do greater than for a string, or greater than or equal to, that type of thing for a string. They only work with numbers, so think integers, floats, etc. The only two of these operators that you can use for strings is the equal to and not equal to sign. Let's change our statement to not equal hello world. If message is not equal to hello world, we can just say you're supposed to say hello world. And now if we say else, we don't need any elifs because we're just doing else. You said it. So here it's checking if it's not hello world. And now it's saying you're supposed to say hello world. And if it is hello world, because else, then it says you said it. This is the same as doing this. That's the same as doing this if statement. Although it's different code, in this case they're the same thing, but there are many uses for these, and they are very different. Now let's look at logical operators. In one of our examples, we used the AND operator. In this video, we'll learn about two of these logical operators, and OR. First, we're going to learn about the AND operator. Logical operators can be used inside if statements to check if more than one value is true. Let's create a variable called num, which holds the integer 12. Now we can create an if statement that checks if the number is greater than 8 but less than 11. We can use the AND operator to check this. If num is greater than 8 and num is less than 11, we can print your number is correct. So what this is doing is it's saying if number is between 11 and 8. So if it's greater than 8 and less than 11. The statement only evaluates to true if both of these are true. This makes sense because the word is and, which implies both. So that's one of the reasons why Python is so easy to read compared to other languages. In this code, no output will go to the console because num is 12, which is not greater than 8 and less than 11. It is greater than 8, but not less than 11. You can also include more variables. Let's add another variable called num2 and set that equal to 10. We can add another and after the 11 to make sure that num2 is equal to 10, and num2 is equal to 10. The statement will still evaluate to false though, because everything has to be true, and num is not less than 11, so it's not true. But we do have 3 expressions in here, and I just did that to show you. So if we ran this, we'd get no output because, like I said, this isn't true. Now we're going to learn about the OR operator. Let's set a variable called num and set it to 10. Now we can create an if statement that checks if num is equal to 8. If it's equal to 8, we can just print u passed. What if both 8 and 10 were correct? We could add an elif statement to do num is equal to 10 and then print u passed. But this uses more code space and is less efficient. Instead, we could type OR after the 8 and type num is equal to 10. So this is asking if num is 8 or it's 10. So as you can see, the operator makes the statement evaluate to true if one or more expressions are true. So if only one was true and the other was false, it would still work because it's called OR, so that's kind of implied there as well, just like AND. But note that OR just needs one to be true, but multiple can be true as well. With the and OR operators, you can make as many conditions as you want. For example, you can check if a message is equal to yes, no, or maybe by using 3 expressions like this. If message is yes, or message equals no, or message equals maybe. Now we can print just okay, for example, and then if it's not any of these, then we can say print sorry, didn't understand what you typed. Please type yes, no, or maybe. So pretend this was just, user's input, then they typed yes. It checks if it's yes or no or maybe. Right now it's going to say okay because the message is yes, and that is exactly the same as this string right here. But if it's not any of these, then it says I didn't understand, please type yes, no, or maybe. Now we'll explore nested if statements, which are if statements placed inside another if or else block. Nested if statements allow us to handle more complex conditions in decision making. Let's see an example. Age is 18, and is citizen is equal to true. Now we can check if age is greater than or equal to 18. Then we can print you are 18 or older. And then down here we can also check if is citizen is equal to true. Now we can print you are eligible to vote. And now we can say else inside here, print you can't vote. And now in going back to this if statement, we don't have an else for this, so we can add an else if we wanted to. Else print you are too young to vote. So this might look a little confusing, but remember, code goes from top to bottom. So first it checks if age is 18 or older, and then it prints you're 18 or older if that's true. Then only if age is greater than or equal to 18, then it checks if citizen is true because this is inside the if statement. So this is only run if age is 18 or older. If is citizen is true, then it prints you're eligible to vote, and if it's not, then it says you can't vote. And in here, this print This will print as long as you're 18, no matter what, whether you are a citizen or not. So it prints if you're 18, whether you're a citizen or not, but only this prints if you are, and this prints if you're not. It says you are 18 or older and you are eligible to vote. That is because they're 18, and this is true, and all this says checked out, and it's correct. If this seems too complicated, don't worry about it for now, because once you get familiar with normal if statements without nesting them, then nesting if statements inside if statements will make sense. Congratulations, you now know how to use if statements in Python. If statements are a very important part of programming and a very important concept to understand. Thanks for watching.